Okay, so guys, welcome to this webinar session where we have our students who have studied with DQ Labs the last year. Now they are studying with BITS Mumbai and MIT Pune. From BITS Mumbai, we have Sachi and Pranjay, right?
Pranjali.
Pranjali. Okay, sorry about that, Pranjali Singh. So, and from MIT Pune, we have Adhya, Nithya, Ashwik, uh, Vainavi, Narik Kumar Srivatsav, and Shreya Rajesh. So we have this session now. We have students from DQ Labs as well. Now I request the students to go ahead and have your questions ready for our students who are a part of BITS and MIT, and you can certainly go ahead and ask your questions. Guys, the students from BITS and MIT, are you guys there? The, the students whom I asked or the student's name whom I have said,
Yes,
are they
sir.
there?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, dear students, the present DQ Lab students, I request you to please go ahead with your questions. Either you can ask directly by unmuting your mic, and also you can also type in the WhatsApp, the chat. We will certainly go ahead and ask these questions. Okay. So anybody can start the questions, not an issue. You can either type it or you can certainly go ahead and ask the questions. Students, you can certainly go ahead and ask the questions.
Yeah, see, this agenda of this meeting is to discuss about the exam pattern, round two exam pattern for MIT and BITS, right, students? So I think better you can type in your doubts and all in the chat window so that students from MIT and BITS can answer those questions.
Okay. Now, there are some questions which is coming up in the chat. Now, the first question. Okay. Now, the first question is from Nidhi. She's asking, like, could you tell us a few questions that were asked during the interviews? So, Nidhi, be specific. Is it on BITS or with MIT? Now, the next question is Vaibhavi. For MIT, how many questions are asked in the studio test? So, any MIT students can go ahead and answer this.
I think it will be better if the MIT students first tell about the pattern, that what is the pattern of the exam, the round two exam. Rather than discussing about the question, if they can discuss about the pattern, it will be more helpful, I guess. What do you think, students?
Adya, Nitya, anyone can go ahead and answer this question.
So for the studio test, there's only one question, and we got 2 hours to answer that. And you first have your studio test, and then followed that you have your interview. So it's just one question.
A few of the examples of the questions that were asked last year was one question was you had to design a concert ticket or a souvenir. So that was one. There was another question which was you need to design a tea stall or something like that. And there was one question which was you need to create a waste dispensary system to like make sure waste is disposed in a better way than it already is. So these were few questions that were given to our batch for the studio test.
Okay. Great.
Sorry, could you repeat the questions once more?
I'm sorry?
Could you repeat the questions once more?
Okay, so the question which I read it was Vaibhavi's question for MIT. How many questions asked in the studio
No,
test?
no, sir. Could you repeat what questions were asked last year?
Yeah, so one was you had to design a concert ticket or a souvenir, like for a concert. One was creating a waste disposal system, which which functions better than the existing system. One was designing a tea stall sort of a space. I don't exactly remember the details of the tea stall question, but it was somewhat like that.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay, Sachi, was there a same kind of questions asked in BITS as well, or was there any different questions?
In BITS, we don't have a studio test per se. There
Mhm.
is the interview is taken with more weightage.
Okay.
So by now there must have the interviews have started so far as I know. And so they after you get shortlisted, they took our portfolios for review and then they will give you an interview slot. And based on the interview is where you get admission along with your test scores and your portfolio score. So there's no physical studio test.
Okay, great. Now, on basis of that, now how long the interview will go on, and what is the kind of a questions which you have faced? If you can just give us an example.
It goes on for, as far as I know, there were people who had their interviews for even 40 minutes, but the minimum they take stretch it on for is like 10 to 20 minutes. And
Mhm.
depending on who takes the interview, they don't specifically go to ask you questions about design. They are more judging you as a person and as your aptitude. So they have a conversation with you about something about your portfolio or something in general, your
Mm.
general strengths and weaknesses, some design related questions.
Okay.
So they judge in the interview more so based off how you are as a person, what your interests are, how confident you are in communicating your work, and things like that. Sometimes they might ask you to present your portfolio. One of the questions I got was, what is something I dislike in my portfolio and why I dislike it? So you should be confident enough to speak about your work and also talk about the negative parts of your work.
Okay. So, just wanted to understand, like when the normal, which I have also seen in couple of interviews, these are the basic questions which they ask. So they want to understand your mindset, how much you are inclined towards design, and how interested you are towards the design field, which I have seen that. Now, is there any kind of unexpected questions, or you should be ready, like any one of you can answer that. Is there any unexpected question which you think, okay, you are not prepared for it, but you got that question when you are in an interview?
If I may answer this.
Yeah, please, Arushi.
So for MIT, what happened was they did not ask many questions about our portfolio. Barely any questions actually. I handed them my portfolio and they flipped through it and with a quick rundown. After that, most of the interview was about what you enjoy doing. It was about your own hobbies. I believe Vainavi was asked about her dance. I was asked about my writing, and that was most of the interview. I was not expecting to deviate from the subject of my portfolio by a lot.
Mhm.
They
Okay, that's
want to know
something.
you as a person, how you challenge yourself, how you grow, and how you
Okay.
manage your hobbies.
Now, on the same question, I just want to go ahead and ask you, Rishi, like, was there any kind of a situation which is being given to you in the interview, and did they ask you to go ahead and come out with a particular solution for that particular situation? Was there any questions
It
as such?
wasn't asked for me, but it was asked for one of my friends. She was asked to draw the Bisleri logo on a piece of paper using the texture of the table in front of them.
Mhm. Okay.
But I I was not asked any such question. I think it depends on who is taking your interview at that point.
So it depends completely depends upon the interviewer whom is
Yes,
there in
yes.
front of you. So you should be prepared. That's what you're saying. So Kathy, I think
You
that's
should
answered your question.
expect the unexpected. And
Okay. Now, question options for this. Okay. Now, is there any options which will be given in the studio test, in the MIT studio test? Binary, anybody can answer. Yeah. Nitya, please go ahead.
So during my end, I got the question of the waste management thing that Binary had mentioned.
I can't,
And I
we
didn't
can't
really
hear
get.
you, Nitya. Can you just be a little louder?
Am I audible now?
Yeah, a little better, but yeah.
So yeah, I had gotten the waste management question, and I didn't really get options for the question, but I got options on what basis I want to answer the question. So I don't remember the options, but we got under waste management, we got to pick like which type of it we wanted to. So it depends question to question. They'll give you pointers under it on how you want to go forward with the question. That's what.
Okay. Now, MIT guys, you can certainly go ahead and give me any other kind of examples or test questions which you get last year. You can certainly go ahead and.
for me, I got the question of designing a ticket and a souvenir for a concert. It was completely up to you which concert you would be designing for. However,
Okay.
the ticket and the souvenir should reflect the type of concert you're going for.
Oh, okay. Okay. So anybody else, would you like to add any other things apart from this?
I got the question of designing an entertainment system for a bedridden person. So it had to be like a sort of physical product for a bedridden person.
Okay, so there is a question in which there is like, was there anything particularly MIT asked to see in their portfolio? Because I remember before you guys answer it, I just want to go ahead and give an answer to this question as well. And you can certainly go ahead and add up. Now, portfolio, anywhere, wherever you want to go ahead and showcase your portfolio, majorly that is going to go ahead and show up your interest and what you want to go ahead and showcase in front of the panelist over there, and whatever interest which you have done till date, and what you feel the best work which you want to go ahead and put it in front of the panelist, you can go ahead and show that. It's nothing like as such a hard and fast rule where in a portfolio that, okay, you should have it. There's nothing as such. So I believe I'm right. Guys, you can certainly correct me if there is anything which you want.
I think portfolio can also contain the works that challenged you. It might not be the best work you have, but it truly did challenge you. And you learned a lot from it. And it shows that you're willing to take up challenges and to improve yourself. And it's true that the portfolio should represent you, what you like to do, and how you have improved throughout over time. So yes.
Nice. Anything else you guys need to add or? Okay, so can anyone explain about how did the studio test were held? Like, can you just explain the process?
So coming back to the portfolio questions, I feel another thing you guys can do is one part is yes, focusing on design, putting your work, talking about your passion for design and everything. Also try, I know you guys would have included your hobbies and everything, but try to emphasize a little more about how you are as a person and how that complements you being in design rather than just focusing on showing your work, thinking I did this, I did that. Be a little more open. Try to talk more about yourself in your portfolio, because For me, in my interview, they focused more on the extra points than the artwork that I had put in my portfolio. So yeah.
Okay, so in the studio test, can anybody can explain what is the process of the studio test, or just wanted to understand if they ask you to do some things, will they provide materials, or do you need to carry some materials?
They provide the bare minimum of materials that is needed. For me, I got like one piece of string, one piece of paper, one piece of cardboard. So barely any materials. The rest you have to bring it yourself, your paints, your brushes, and everything. I remember during my studio test, people kept asking me for white paint because they forgot to bring it themselves. So they give the bare minimum of material and you have to plan accordingly because you don't have the chance to redo once you make the mistake because there's a lack of materials. And
Also
the
another
three,
point. Sorry, Arushi, continue.
no, it's fine, you say.
Yeah, so another point is decide what you want to do and then start working. Because if you guys decide to change your decision or alter whatever you were trying to do in between, you first thing is you won't have the necessary materials, and the second thing is time. For regarding the materials, like Arushi said, you'll be provided the bare minimum. Make sure you guys carry your own cutters, glue, and all the basic stuff. They'll only give you the materials that they want you to be using there. There is no restriction as to you have to use only the materials that they've given. So try and carry everything that you feel you might need to be making a model over there.
As for the 3D model question, no, it is not necessary to make a 3D model. However, a 3D model will show off your material handling skills. If you don't make a 3D model, that means your ideation and your concept should be really, really good. What about that?
Nice. Okay, so is there any a particular number of questions which they will ask, or is there like one question for one person? How exactly the studio test will work?
Sir, can I answer this?
Yeah, please, Nitya.
Yeah. So for the studio test, there's obviously like one specific question you're making your model for. But when it comes to the interview, it's really spontaneous. So they can ask you like how they'll ask you according to your portfolio. It's also varies. Like I think for Vainavi and Arushi, it was very focused on them and their extracurriculars. But for me, it was really just my portfolio, like my work, and really understanding why I've done specific things. So like I had made like a mock headphone. So they really asked me like why did I pick it, the design behind it, and is there a specific reason for the color scheme I've taken. So it's not, yeah, the tools, any kind of, so it's all very different for every person. So it's not always necessary it's going to be related to you and your hobby. It can also be about your work, and they're going to understand the process behind certain work you do and how did you think about it.
Okay. Now, when it comes to interviews, is there any pattern of questions which MIT follows, or will they go ahead and ask some random questions?
They usually start with an introduce yourself and then it goes to show your portfolio. Sometimes they will ask about your portfolio like Nitya, and then it's mostly about yourself. They will focus on one point and they'll carry out the conversation. And if you're nervous about the interview in MIT, just know that all the interviews I've heard of were very, how much was it, chill. All the professors who were taking the interviews were very nice. They would try and make you feel comfortable in it. And I'm just saying not to be stressed about it.
Okay. So that's nice. I mean, they will not go ahead and make you sit like very strict, and then they will not ask you
They
questions.
were very friendly. They even cracked jokes in between the interview. They let you make
Um,
jokes.
so they're quite friendly and they make you comfortable
Yes,
and
they're
they'll ask.
very friendly.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Now, was there any questions which is related to current affairs in the MIT interviews, or anyone faced that kind of a questions?
No, and I don't think they will bring it up unless you do.
Okay. So any of you Vainavi, Nidhi, Nitya, Harini, anyone, did you ever come across this kind of a current affairs or anything which is related to current affairs?
Not particularly, sir. No.
Same
They
here, even I wasn't asked about current affairs.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing they did tell me during the interviews, they told me to ask them questions. Like they asked me, would you like to ask us something? And I really feel like when they give that question, ask them something. It can be something really silly. You can ask them why they took design or what specification they are in. Just keep yourself ready with a few questions to ask them because that shows them that you are curious to know more. And that is like a good thing to, portray about yourself in the interview.
Okay,
um so
that's nice. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
one thing I was asked was how I learned the tools I use, like the digital tools. So
Mm-hmm.
that I if that counts as somewhat of a GK question,
No, that come under that because okay, so that's something different because they wanted to understand where did you learn the skills. So that's something very generic. Okay, now it goes to BITS now. Can you just give us some one or two questions which they asked in the interview process? Was there anything which is related to general knowledge or any questions which you faced, Sachi?
There were no specific questions for general knowledge, no. The interview that, as far as I know, with my batchmates and whoever I've interacted with, it depends on how you start the interview. So they're looking to see how you are as a person and how you portray yourself, how you communicate with a person. So, like, the best tip I could say that you can for your portfolios and even your interviews is to start a conversation with the person. So for our interviews, there's two people who take the interview. So both of them will question you on different things. In my interview, they asked me about what I disliked in my portfolio, and then we had a conversation about colors because they saw like the environment that I was sitting in was a very colorful place, and they asked me about why I chose those colors, why I picked this color, that color, how it impacts my life, how it impacts my environment, and they asked me about my inspiration, why I took design, why I think I'm fit for design and everything. But there are other people that I know who were asked very specific questions about their portfolio, something that stood out a lot in their portfolio. There were people, so we had the option last year, I don't know if it's there this year, to submit an additional portfolio to show any co-curricular skills. And some people submitted very detailed co-curricular portfolios of sports, dancing, singing, and they were asked questions on that. There were people that were
Okay.
asked questions on straight design. So it's more of a how you converse with them. If you hold a good conversation confidently and you own up to your work very well, they will like you as a student. So if you get nervous and if you just give them very dry responses, they'll probably end the interview sooner than if you start a conversation with them. All the faculty that take interviews are very chill. They're chill in college as well. You can
Okay.
joke around with them, you can ask them anything, you can interact with them, and they'll appreciate if you talk about your beliefs and like your interests more than just you telling them about design.
That's nice. So even here also they'll make you comfortable when you go to interview and they'll make you feel really good and there's nothing like stress environment over there when you're sitting in front of them, right?
No, they're pretty normal, friendly, all
Yeah.
of them.
Okay. Now that will go ahead and bring me to another question which is there on the list. Now, one of our students would like to know, like, have you done any kind of because you're in the learning environment, and have you done any kind of an assessment recently? And what was that assessment is all about? And how did it go on? I mean, how does the whole assessment went?
So in BITS, we have a system of modules. So we don't have all of our classes at once. So there's a set number of modules and credits that are assigned per semester. So there's a starter module. So in the beginning of this semester, we had 3 modules going on at once, and then all of them ended with their final assignment, and then they opened 2 more new modules. So the workload is divided within the months, so you don't have to take all your classes at once. And for recent assignments, something that was interesting is we had a module over coding and soft robotics and everything this semester. It spoke about, so they took us into Python. We learned Python, but we learned the designing around Python, so technical design. And we learned more about electrical engineering, the simplest forms of electrical engineering, and how to incorporate them into any sort of technological design. We
Okay.
had soft robotics, which took us into muscle movement and robots in general. So all of these was one of the modules. And for like assignments around that, so assignments are typically dependent on what class you are in. So there's professors, and the deadlines are set according to the professor's choices. They're kind of flexible with the extensions, but for that module, like they taught us sets of codes. They gave us a kit per student, and there was like 30, 40 things in the kit. So they taught us simple items first, coding those items, and then the assignment was weekly. So you had to use the things that you learned within class to make some sort of creation. And that went on for around 3 months. And then for the last final assignment, you had to make an elaborate product using the same equipment or any other additional equipment that you want to. And that was the final submission for that class. And if you take a more of a theory-based class, our design theory-based class this semester spoke a lot about futures and design principles. So again, we had 2 assignments in that. And the assignments are usually pretty broad, open to interpretation. You can pick what topic you want to work on. You can pick how you want to work on it. The end result, though, is same for everyone, like the end product that you have to make. So we had a research assignment in that where there was data analysis, collecting research, understanding design principles, and then there was a physical manifestation of it, of how you would do testing to get feedback from the general public, people around you, peers, people from different societies, different sectors, and all of that came together to understand the design theory that they focused on this semester. So the assignments are pretty spread out depending on what part of the semester you're in, what module you're in. But they're pretty open. The evaluation is pretty simple. They give you all evaluating criteria at the start of the class. They give you the weightage of each assignment and everything.
Okay, great.
For
Now, yeah.
MIT, it's a bit different. It's very different actually. For semester one, we have, I believe, 5 courses, which either reinforces what you already know or teaches you something new. For each course, we have a mid-course submission and an end-course submission. Those you will have to do an online submission and a physical submission, and we have a mentor-mentee system over here. The entire student body is divided into groups, and each group is assigned a mentor. And the mentor will be grading your submissions. And at the end of each semester, we have a jury where we will have to present throughout the year to panelists who can come from anywhere. So in the first year, the panelists are from the college itself, but in other years, second, third, and fourth, the panelists will come from outside. So you will have to present what you have done throughout the entire year to them, and then they'll grade you again for each of the courses, and the entire marks will be given according.
Okay. So now I want to ask you both BITS and MIT students, how's the students crowd over there? And normally, what do you guys like in the campus or in your last 1 year, and what you don't like? And you can talk about your faculties, like are they full-time faculties, are they part-time faculties or visiting faculties? So first let's go ahead with BITS, and then we'll come to MIT.
For faculty, so we have a lot of things going on in that section. So we have a bunch of permanent faculties that are there throughout the year, throughout the semester. Then for every module that we have, other than the faculty assigned to your class, there's also guest lecturers that come from outside. So I think in the past 1 year, we've had around at least 30 to 40 guest lecturers from around the world.
Cool.
Last semester, we also had a whole week of conferences with people from the industry. There were people like Don Norman, John Takara, all the great design names were there. You could have one-on-one interactions with all of them. Then we also have visiting faculty taking classes. So for some, like we had a VFX class where we had a designer who works in the film industry come in and teach us VFX instead of our permanent faculty. So we have visiting faculty come in like that. Then we have something called a DDC. So that's a program within our college. It's called the Design Discovery Club. So in the start of the year, they send you a list of around 25 to 30 industry professionals within a broad range of industries, and you get to pick three that you're most interested in. And you get to spend a whole day with them, show them your work. They talk about their work. You can take advice from them. So they're basically kind of industry mentors to you. And if you stand out to them, you can do projects with them. You can work alongside them. Other than that, we also have electives that happen every semester where also there's other guest lecturers, other industry professionals that come in to take classes for weeks. And we also have universities that come in. So far, we have Alto, RMIT, and next month we have Stanford coming in to take workshops for 3, 4 days. So there's professors from other colleges that come in. So the faculty area is pretty diverse in the sense of people, industries, exposure to different countries and cultures and everything. For the college, like within the student crowd, it's a very diverse crowd. There's people from the entire country, and most people have different strengths and weaknesses that we work around with. So a lot of projects are group projects for us. So you get to learn a lot from someone else in your group that you lack. Like I could pick to work with someone who's strong at, let's say, visual design, and I'm strong at product design. So we get to work together, learn from each other to come to our final project or assignment. So the crowd is diverse in that sense also. And other than that, we also have classes with our dean, something called a professional development program, where they teach you more about your career, how you would present yourself personally, your portfolio, and stuff like that. So it's teaching you soft skills about your future, your career, and your learning path. And other than that, for the campus, so this year we were in a temporary campus, but everyone from next year is going to be at the permanent campus. The permanent campus has a lot of labs, the hostels, all of the classes. We have different kinds of classrooms for different kinds of classes, depending on if it's a collaborative class or an individual class. And we also, within the campus, there's a lot of uh, sports facilities and everything. It is a little far from the main city, but other than that, the campus is pretty good. The food there is nice.
Okay. Just wanted to go ahead and ask you a little more about this faculties. When you say about permanent faculties, like you're in the foundation here, right?
Yes.
So how many faculties whom you think there are permanent faculties in BITS?
Currently, I think there are about 8 to 9 permanent faculties that we have.
Okay.
And then, other than faculties, we also have teachers' assistants who are
Okay.
like a bridge between students and teachers. So
Mhm.
they're like, we call them academic fellows here. They are there in every class along with the professor to
Mhm.
help you out. They're there open for doubts. They're open for any sort of conversations. They're pretty chill. They're all in their 20s, so not very far from age from us. So they
Okay.
help you out. They're good for asking doubts. They'll give you all sorts of feedbacks. With the permanent faculty, I think there's about 8 to 10 right now, and they'll get more as the number of students increases because we are the first batch and there's only limited number of students right now.
Okay, so you get to speak to Nandita Efram ma'am.
Yes, we get to speak to Nandita pretty often. So she takes our PDP class, which is per class. She also takes individual sessions with students for feedback. So for our PDP class, our assignment includes you submitting a portfolio kind of. So you get to interact with her individually where she gives you feedback about your work. She knows every student by name. We also have normal sessions, orientations with her about any suggestions, any complaints that you have around campus, anything you would want to improve. And we meet her almost once every 2, 3 months for these catch-up sessions things. And then there's classes that she takes in general. And she interacts with all the students during exhibitions and showcases. Sometimes she comes and sits within classes to see how the class is going and everything.
That's nice. And now want to understand another part of it, like how big is the campus?
So the permanent campus where the students will go next year, that is in Kalyan. So
Yes.
that is, I have no idea how big it is, like size-wise, acre-wise, but it is pretty huge. It also has the campuses for BITS Law and BITS so you'll get to interact with other specialties also.
Hmm.
But overall, it has around 4, 5 buildings, 10, 15 hostels, and it has a really big football ground. It has a cricket pitch. It has a bunch of tennis and squash courts. It has a
So it will
volleyball
be
court.
more
It
than
has a
amenities
basketball
for
court.
sure.
And then they have a really big canteen. They have multiple gyms, a very big library. Uh, it has a very nice environment around it. There's hills around the entire campus. So there's a lot of space to do anything that you want within the
Okay.
campus itself.
Okay, great. Do you have any clubs as such, like sports club, music club, or
Yes, we
design
have a
club?
lot of clubs actually. So I can't name all of them because I don't remember all of them, but there are
That's
clubs
okay.
for everything. So we have broadly, we have a sports club, sports and well-being. We have a cultural club. Under cultural club, we have multiple. We have theater, we have music, we have dance, we have fine arts. We have a communication and literature club under which there's the college magazine, the newsletter, podcast club. There's the debate club, there's the MUN club. Other than that, there's going to be a culinary club. People are starting a fashion club. The sports club had an event. So we also have like an annual sports event, a cultural event and everything. So we recently had the two of them. You can check out the podcast, I think, on the BITS YouTube channel. I think that's public. And you can check out the newsletter also, which is also public. So all of the clubs are student led. All of the clubs have one student head that is elected by the students themselves, and they're open to all students for participation. They have meetings, they have events and everything very often. If Pranjali is still here, is she here? Pranjali?
Pranjali, are you there?
I don't think she's there. She's the head of the music club, so
Oh, okay, great.
yeah, we do have all sorts of student clubs. There's some clubs that are controlled by the faculties as well, like a magazine club that is controlled by the student council and everything. So there's everything that you would want to do. You're open to start your own club.
Great. Thanks, Archie. Now, guys, let's try to go ahead and close up because there's so many questions which is coming up and we'll have to take one after the other. The rest of the students from DQ Labs, I'm trying to cover up all the questions. There are some questions which are repetitive, which those questions has already been answered. Now, I want to ask you another thing, like for MIT. Is it the same way? Like, how's the campus? What is the campus life looks like? You can answer in the same way, one by one.
We have a pretty big campus. I think it's around 120, 125 or 6 acres. I don't exactly remember. As for the professors, we don't have many guest lecturers, but what we lack in guest lecturers, we make up for the strength of the staff. We have over 60 professors, most of them industrial experts. We have very seasoned NID graduate professors who have worked in the industry for over 30 to 40 years. And believe me, they're amazing. And apart from that, clubs, we have all student-led clubs. We have, and that too, our culture, we are known for our cultural events. We have over 6 to 7 cultural events in 2 semesters itself. And we have separate clubs for dance, music, drama. Then we have, I believe, a music and a movie club. And that's just the top of my head at the moment. And Vainavi, would you like to continue from here?
Yeah, the campus locationally is a little away from the city, but we do get all the basics, like there's a clinic and everything around. So the basic facilities are available, but it is a little distant from the city. And as far as clubs, yeah, so there are two categories of clubs. One is just in design. So, like Arushi said, we have a dance club, music club, drama club, music streaming, and a movie streaming club, and everything. Other than that, we have clubs like Create for Impact, where they take up activities, community activities, and do it. And we have a club called Seek that invites industry experts, and they conduct webinars, and where you get to interact with the industry experts, ask them questions, and learn from them. Now, apart from just the design related club, we have university clubs as a whole. So there is an adventure club, and there are many other clubs that organize events in the college and everything. So this is what is related to the clubs. And like Arushi said, we don't have visiting faculty for our foundation. So our first year, both SEM 1 and SEM 2 is a foundation. So for foundation, we are trained by the faculty that we have in college. And later on in our second year, when we choose our specializations, we have visiting faculties, depending on which specialization you are in. So we have visiting faculty as well as industrial experts who will come and teach you. And your lectures are divided accordingly.
During his foundation year, you don't have to stick with the professors or the mentors you have. You can go and ask any professor. We have even been to the dean's office, and I believe you can go into any professor's cabin and ask them any question. They're very open.
Now, I want to understand from both the college students. Now, have you come across any kind of complex questions like who's your favorite designer? What they do? Do you know something about them? Talk something about the designers and what makes you to go ahead and like the designers. Was there any questions as such?
During the interview, I wasn't asked any questions like that, and I don't think my friends were either. And what I believe is they won't ask you such a question unless you bring it up yourself, unless you show a part of your work and go, oh, this was inspired by this designer. Unless you say that, they will not bring in the topic themselves. Because this happened for my jury, like after my SEM 1 finished, during my jury, I told them one of my models was based off on the Louvre Museum of France. And the moment I said that, I was being grilled on the history of the Louvre Museum and who created it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it'll be brought up unless you bring it up yourself.
Okay, so if you know, you better go ahead and bring up these kind of things, or else it's better you
Yes.
be quiet and then you can go and answer those questions, whatever it comes.
Yes, so unless you're confident about your own knowledge about that subject, you should not bring it up, because they told us about, I talked to the faculty, and apparently one boy long ago was, during his interview, he said that he knew a lot about cars, and the faculty grilled him a lot. They asked him, okay, which car? And he was like, tell me any car from A to Z. And then they named a car, and then he's like, which model are you talking about? There was a model in this year, this year, this year. So unless you have a very in-depth knowledge about what you're talking about, I would not suggest you to bring up the topic.
Okay, so a suggestion to all the students. Until unless you are confident about any particular thing, if you want to bring it up in front of the panelist, better, you don't talk. You just go ahead and answer the questions, show your portfolios, and whatever which is required, you go ahead and talk to them. That's the only thing. Unnecessarily, if you try to go ahead and bring out a topic and say that, okay, I know about this, it doesn't happen only in, design related, interviews. I have seen interviews from IIMs or anywhere, wherever there is an interview process. So there is a particular questions which regards to your knowledge and which regards to what exactly you're trying to showcase in front of the interviewers. If you try to go ahead and prove that you have enormous amount of knowledge on one particular topic, they are sitting there with a lot of experience and they will grill you very badly. So it's better don't bring up any other topic rather than So it's a good suggestion. Sachi, was there the same thing which happened with you, or is there any different?
Sorry, could you repeat the thing that
No,
happened?
was there any questions which is related, peculiar questions, anything which is like
No, not
your favorite
really. So if you
designer?
start the conversation yourself, you also get to the freedom to pick what you want to talk about. So like if you are someone who's, let's say, very strong in, like you have a lot of knowledge about something related to a particular field, you could always start your conversation with the interviewer in that field. So they might not have as much interest in it, but because you started a conversation yourself, they will go along with it. So if you start the conversation yourself, you have the control over what kind of questions they're asking you. But again, as you said, if you try to show that you know everything about it, there's a high chance that the other person knows more than you do, and then it becomes a little awkward within the situation. So being confident about how much knowledge you have, and if they do ask you something that you don't know, instead of giving like a made up answer, it's always better to say that you don't know it. They would appreciate you saying that you don't have the knowledge to answer that question, but you would like to look it up and learn about it instead of making up an answer to seem like you know it.
Okay, great. Now, what is the evaluation process in BITS? Like, before the personal interview, and if portfolio has been submitted, how it will be evaluated?
So I don't know if they've kept the same thing this year, but I'm positive that they have. You can double check this, but for our batch, we had an entrance test. We had the BIT stat, and you
Okay.
could submit your UCD or NID scores along with it, and they
Okay.
would have shortlisted you based on of your super score on whatever scores you submit. Like if you submit multiples, they'll take the best one, and then they'll shortlist you. Then you submit your portfolio, then there's a break, and then there's the interview process. The weightage for all of them is 30% weight. So they score you out of 10 or 100. And the weightage is 30% for your entrance score, 30% for your portfolio before the interview, and 40% for how you present yourself in the interview. So before your interview, they've already graded your portfolio. So how you communicate visually and everything is graded in your portfolio, and then who you are as a person is scored in your interview. And then there's the list that comes out. And I think the cutoff for this year is 180 students. So according to how much you score total out of 10 or 100 with these weightages, they'll have a list, and 180 students get in, around 20-30 get shortlisted or waitlisted, sorry.
Okay. Okay, so there was a question, which was asked by Abhilash. I think, Arushi, you have answered that question as well, right? Which was asked by Abhilash.
Which question was it?
That says, will they ask questions like, why did you choose the particular stream in 11th, and how did it help in design? So
I think I introduced myself by telling which stream I was in, but they did not dig further into it because what I've seen over here is people come from all different types of streams. So I don't think it matters to them much.
Okay, so there was a question for about bits which says, so it says this year bits have an additional video option. So was there any advantage for the people who submit the additional portfolio?
Uh, It's not technically an advantage or disadvantage situation. It's more of a you have the scope to show more of your work. So in my video portfolio, I submitted a video of me skating and baking, which is two things that I was very good at. So through the video portfolio, I could show that I had these two skills that were other than design and how I use them in my daily life. But I could also show like editing videos, sound effects, and stuff like that while putting together the video. So by using the additional video option, you get the chance to portray more work of yourself while also showing how diverse of a person you are. Because in the college in general, they do appreciate diversity. There's people who aren't fully design focused that have so many other skills that add to their designing. So showing diversity as a person is something that they will appreciate. I don't think it gives you an advantage or disadvantage per se in your interview, but it does show you off as a person better if you submit one to showcase more of your skills.
Great. So which specialization you have chosen, Sachi?
For us, we don't have to pick a specialization in the first year. We pick our specialization in our fourth semester. So the first year is the foundation year, which has everything, and then there's electives. And then next semester, which is the third semester, you get to take intro courses to everything. So we have 5 pathways. I can take an intro course to all of them to understand the basics of all of them. And then I will have a career counseling with some of my faculties, with our Dean Nandita, with our academic fellows, for them to tell me what they think I'm strong at and talk about what kind of specialization I want to take and if I would be good at it, where my strengths lie. And then I can make a decision at the end of the third semester and pick my specialization in the fourth semester.
Nice. So you will get to choose your particular stream in the fourth semester. So which stream you
Yes.
would like to go?
I'm conflicted between design research and product design, physical product design, because I'm interested in both. So for people like me, which is like almost everyone here, I get to take the intro classes, see what I like about them and which ones I don't like, and then I can take an intermediate class. I can take electives on it throughout the entirety of next semester, and then make a decision so that I don't go into something without knowing what it is.
Okay, so was there any option of like transdisciplinary in BITS?
So our entire course is already transdisciplinary a lot actually. So, and after you pick your I'm assuming you're asking after we pick specializations how the transdisciplinary works.
Yeah,
So
correct.
after we pick specializations, the transdisciplinary concept works first with electives. You can take electives from any discipline. Like even if I take visual communication as my major, I can take an elective from product design just to learn about it, to broaden my scope, broaden my knowledge. And
Okay.
other than that, most of the projects that we'll do, so there'll be some projects that are according to your stream, some product design projects, but there's also going to be projects where you have to collaborate with someone from visual communication, with someone from research, while you're from a third discipline, and three different disciplines come together, work together to form one project. And in collaborative group work, you learn a lot from the other person. So you do have to interact with all disciplines, regardless of what major you take.
Okay. Now, one next question is for MIT. Uh, how's the hostel facilities? I was hearing about a mixed response, and there was a question on the same. So, what do you think about the hostel facility in MIT? Yeah, why not? Go ahead.
Um, See, it's not very fancy or anything, but trust me, the basics are here. You do have a cut, you have a study table, all the necessary things are there. There's regular housekeeping and everything. Few people are a little crispy about it. They do want to complain about it. But personally, for me, I have no problem with the hostel or anything. And that opinion might differ from person to person. But I feel the basic necessities are available there.
Yes, look, compared to the horror stories I have heard from my parents, it is much better. Uh, the basic necessities are there. Yes, you will be a little bit conflicted, disgruntled at first because you're coming from home to a place like this. It will be a bit uncomfortable, but you get used to it. It's not like there are rats roaming around the place.
Okay. Now both BITS and MIT students can answer this question. Was there any other additional expenses which you incur apart from the fees and or the hostel fees? If yes, what are those, and how much you think that the extra expenditure is coming up to? First, let's go ahead with MIT and then we'll go ahead with BITS.
I think the major expense would be stationery, and even that is a little less for foundation. For those who have their own stationery, it's not much. But other than that, initially during the settling period, the mess food, when you're not used to the mess food, you tend to eat outside a little often. So I feel that was the only additional expense that I had. And of course, weekends when you're like, you want to go hang out with your friends or something, there's the travel and food and everything. That is inevitable. But other than that, I don't think there's any other expense. Nitya, anything?
Anybody else wants to add? MIT guys?
Also transportation, which we spend a lot in because we're a bit away from the city. So if we ever have to get into the main city, we do spend on cabs and autos. But other than that, it's mostly stationary, as she said.
Now, how far it is from the main city?
It's about 30 minutes from the main city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Sachi, you can go ahead.
Even here, the main expense, as they said, is stationery itself. There's nothing other than stationery that you would require for college. But yeah, the other expenses are just in general student life, like going around, having food outside and all of those. But that depends person to person. And stationery in itself is not a lot either. So I think it's the same as MIT in that case.
Okay, great. Now, MIT, anybody has taken fashion design? Nitya, Nidhi, Arushi, Vainavi.
For the fashion design, you have to give another entrance exam. So I don't think any of us will.
Okay, what do you think about fashion design? How's it?
We are not sure. I haven't personally interacted with many fashion design students.
Okay.
Sir?
Yep.
So yeah, I have friends who are from the fashion design department, and what I would say is their course for the first sem, it's pretty similar to ours. They don't have many different courses, but from the second semester is where they really dive into the fashion aspect of it. So when I don't know much about the entrance is a different set of questions for them. The process is the same, where they have the same round two and they have the same interview, like they'll have an interview and the round two, but the questions are asked and the question they'll have the material for would be different from us. But yeah, the main the fashion aspect really starts from semester two, is where they really learn the stitching, the sewing, and all of that.
Okay. Okay. Because you guys are not from exclusively from that stream. So I may not go ahead and get the actual answers. But anyway, so thank you for that. And now, does BITS have any scholarship programs? Like if there are some private colleges which they give options, like if they perform really good in NID or UC, there is a particular scholarship which they'll give, or else if they attend, let's say, their own entrance examinations, if they do uh, really good, and the scholarship will be awarded. So, was there any scholarships or a scholarship options in BITS?
Yes, we have scholarship options that you get at the time of your admission. So there's 100%, there's 75%, there's 50%, and then there's 25% scholarship. It's
Okay.
based off of your total score, from your entrance test, portfolio, and interview.
Okay.
Around four people get the 100% scholarship. I have no idea the rest of the distribution. I'm currently on 50%. And there's a few requirements that you have to keep up throughout the year for your scholarship to continue to the next year.
Okay, so there is a parameters which has to be maintained. Like, let's say
Yes.
your attendance is one among them, right?
So we need to have a minimum of 80% attendance. Our CGPA for the entire year should be above 6.0, and there should be no disciplinary actions against you.
Okay, so that's great. What about MIT? Anybody can answer this question. Is there any scholarships on with MIT as well? Vainavi, Nitya, Arushi?
So there's nothing that I've known of. I'm not aware, so I'm not sure if there is. Nitya, Arushi.
As far as I know, there is a scholarship program, but that's after your first year. I'm not really sure about the details, but it's not starting from, like, you don't get it from the first year.
Okay,
And
now
from what I believe is the scholarships are either provided to like less privileged students or extraordinary performance in some kind of sports. And when I say extraordinary, I mean extra. And that to the like certain sports that they have to be in expert. It's not all sports.
okay. Now I want to ask another question. Like in MIT, how is the placements? Was there any a good placements which you have come across? So if yes, then which specializations where you think this placement is going good? Like they have industrial design, they have automation, and they also have I think visual communication, right?
So as far as I know, I think the placements are pretty good. Like, my seniors in graphic design, they get companies like Godrej, Titan, and I think even for UX, we get companies like Google, Microsoft too. So
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, I've spoken to a lot of industrial design seniors, and they've also had pretty good placements. I know a few people from TD that got placed with Royal Enfield and everything. I'm not sure about the product design companies, but most of the seniors that I have spoken to have gotten placed in some of the other companies, and they also have the whole campus recruitment sort of thing where they come up with projects and pitch it in with companies and they're hired based on it. So most of the seniors that I have spoken to have gotten placed somewhere or the other.
Okay. Now I think we have a lot more questions. Guys, I think we have already crossed the time. We have 5 to 6 p.m. this was given. I think we have answered a lot of questions here. Probably, we will try to go ahead and arrange another session because, this is like so many questions which are coming up. Guys, if you're okay, we will take another one or two questions and then we will close it. Is it okay with you people? Both
Yes.
MIT and BITS. Is it okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so any one of you have felt that whatever I have chosen, like either MIT or a BITS, was it a wrong, I mean, was a wrong pick? I should have chosen any other college. Have you ever felt like that? Let's go with MIT first.
Personally, I have zero regrets. Like I have taken industrial design as my vertical for the second semester, and for industrial design, we are trained by very experienced people, and the kind of learning that we get is more of they don't just teach us what to do; they teach us how to deal with anything with thrown at. So even in terms of teaching and the course and everything, I personally have zero regrets about joining MIT.
Okay, so no regrets. Yes, Arushi, you can go ahead.
I have similar points too. Some of the faculty are amazing. We have, I believe, two or three NID graduates who are, I'm repeating myself, I believe I said that before. They have a lot of experience. They have worked in foreign countries. I believe one of our professors even had, what? Uh, so like I said, they make you question your view about design. They make you question how you see things. And I generally have no regrets coming to this college, mostly because of the faculty we have.
Okay, so Sachi,
I don't have any regrets joining the college. It is definitely exper it is very like a very good experience to be in a place like this. It's a very industry focused college. And with the how I explained the faculty thing, I really appreciate the exposure that is there. And I don't think I would have gotten this sort of exposure anywhere else. So I wouldn't say I regret my choice at all.
okay. Now, just wanted to understand, like, how is the workload? Let's say for each, discipline or each stream, the workload varies actually. Because I was with Pearl Academy, and then I know how students take the workload. So Sachi, let's go ahead with you first. Let me know, like, how do you feel? Is it too heavy? I mean, it's like I can't take this, or will it? I mean, is the faculties make it more simpler for you to go ahead and make sure, okay, these workloads are like, okay, you can manage it.
Our workload, I wouldn't say is very light, but I also wouldn't say is very heavy. It is pretty distributed. In terms of deadlines, you always have work in progress and feedback sessions. So it's kind because you have to attend your feedback sessions and work in progress to show how much you've done with your work. You can distribute your work accordingly weekly, way before the submission. And the deadlines are pretty spread apart. They usually don't stack deadlines one on the other. And also, we do get on most weeks, we have only 4 day working, and we get Wednesdays off to be able to work and do extracurricular stuff to meet up with your deadlines and everything. So it isn't like you can't manage it, it's more of just time management.
Okay.
For
Yeah, Rishi.
MIT, I would suggest you have to forget sleep within the first semester. The workload is, I believe, on the heavier side. I know a lot of people who were not able to complete their submissions on time, but it's all about time management. If you're able to space out your assignments properly, you will finish them on time. 1 minute. And I believe all the workload for all the other streams that we have over here, specializations are equal most of the time. Uh, and then I think I'll give it to Vainavi over here.
Uh, I mean, how you manage your work and how you time yourself depends from person to person. And the professors also understand that you're adjusting to university culture, the workload is different and everything. And they are a little lenient if you're not able to complete your work on time because they do have deadlines, they do want you to maintain it, submit on time, everything. But if you're not able to, they do understand. And For getting sleep part differs. Like there are few people who pull all-nighters for end course submissions, whereas there are also people who finish well in advance. And I feel like managing workload is something that you will learn. Me, like personally also, I feel like I manage my time and deadlines better now than I did for my first course in July, August. So it's something that you learn over time. And honestly, there's no pressure as to, oh my God, if I don't complete it, this is going to go wrong. No, then you'll get a hand of it eventually.
Okay. Okay. Great. So there is a last question for both the students. How is the, foreign exposure? Like, is there any student exchange programs? Or do you get a chance to go ahead and visit any of the foreign universities or any way where you can get in touch with these universities where you can see the global exposures? Is there an options for that? First, let's talk about MIT and then. Vainavi, Arushi, Nitya, please let me know. Is there any foreign exposure which you get in any of your semesters?
Sir, I'm not very sure, but based on your disciplines, I think there is a sort of a system where I think one semester you go abroad and study and come. How you qualify, which country you go to, and everything, I'm not sure about the specific details, so I wouldn't like to make a comment without knowing the actual information.
So there is it. I'm pretty sure it's in the 6th sem for in MIT.
Okay.
And you also need like an 80% attendance, and your CGPA has to be above 7.5 throughout the all the semesters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sachi, any update from BITS about foreign exchange?
Yes. So we've already had a lot of foreign exposure actually. So as I spoke, we had Don Norman, John Takra coming in last semester. We had multiple people from IDEO coming in. So we also had professors from Italy, from Egypt, from Finland, US, Australia, and Japan who came to take guest lectures and visiting faculties. Other than that, we have workshops from our partner colleges. So we have had workshops with professors from RMIT and Alto, and this month we have it with Stanford. So the professors from that college will come here for 2, 3 days. You get to pick who you want to interact with. They hold classes, they hold seminars, they hold workshops. For now, it's that. And other than that, we have student exchange program in our 6th semester. They're adding colleges to the list right now. There's, I think, 4 colleges, and there's different levels. And also, I think in the 3rd year, you get to do an international project with one of the partner universities. But they haven't given us the details of how you get picked for the exchange program or how you get picked for the project and everything. But it's there in the 6th semester and 3rd year. Other than that, the foreign exposure every year is pretty much a lot. You get to interact with people from around the world, from different cultures, from different types of practices. And they also get the exchange programs like RMIT, Alto, and Stanford have also signed with us for their exchange programs. So you get to do a workshop with them every year. I think they'll come once every year before you decide if you want to do an exchange program by going there also.
That's pretty nice. Okay, so we have a lot more questions which I skipped, but first of all, I think we have covered almost all the questions. Now there are certain questions which has been answered by MIT students. Thank you so much. Um, that's all about right now because we have already passed more than 15 minutes. Guys, Sachi, Nidhi, Nitya, Adhya, Vainavi, everyone who has joined the session, thank you so much. Because this session was very important because through this the students will get the actual reality because even if we get to talk to the college management we get to see only the the cream layer of it. So when we speak to the students, that is when we will get a lot more in-depth information. So I really thank you a lot for your time and coming and sharing your experience. That's really, really nice of you. Guys from DQ Labs, I believe that you guys have got a lot of information about BITS and MIT. Probably we'll be going ahead and doing the same with other colleges also. However, I thank you again for your time and your patience for us. I mean, patience here to go ahead and answer all these questions. Thanks, Archie. Nidhi, thank you so much. Nitya, Adya, Vainavi, thanks a lot for your time.